Are you a health educator who wants to monetize your health knowledge online, but you have a hard time picking a profitable niche? You've probably heard, as everyone says, you got to pick a niche, you got to narrow who you're speaking to, or pick someone that you're going to serve and target. And you see that there is such a crowded industry of this health knowledge, and you know that the solutions you have the ability to transform lives, and you've been afraid to maybe you're afraid to exclude people that you know that you can help, but at the same time, you found that you're not really getting the sales that you would like to have. Well, today what we're going to be talking about is 7 health niche choosing myths that are costing you a fortune. These are the lies that many times are believed that prevent us from actually picking a profitable niche. And if you want to be able to monetize your health knowledge, if you want to go from giving your advice for free to being able to charge a fee, then this video is going to help you to clarify many of the biggest concerns, mistakes that most health educators make when selecting who to serve. So the first myth, this is what I see as one of the biggest lies that's preventing you from attracting your ideal clients. And it's what I hear most common when talking about the niche is that, well, if I choose a niche, I will exclude too many people that I can help. But here's the reality. Even if you have a health message that can help everyone, that doesn't mean that you could market to everyone. So the reality is that anything that is for everyone is also for no one, because you don't have the manpower, the team, the money, the time, the resources to be able to target and reach all the people on the planet. We're living in this information age where people are valuing a specialized knowledge more than the generalized knowledge than ever before. So if you look at generalists in any industry, they always make significantly less money than a specialist. So if you look at a general surgeon is going to make significantly less than, say, a brain surgeon or a heart surgeon. I was working with someone who was suffering from hemorrhoids, and he was really wanting to get this particular procedure done. And he had me researching what is the name of the specialist who focuses just on the butt and nothing but the butt. And he was like, and he explained to me, he said, well, like, think about it this way. Would you rather have a general surgeon has a general idea of it, who's done maybe like 3,000 procedures once? Or would you rather have the specialist who's focused on doing that one procedure 3,000 times and has a lot of successful procedures under their belt? Which would you rather trust with your life that's going to alter your life for the rest of your life? I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. The specialist is exactly who I would rather trust. So I did research and found out he's called a proctologist. And yes, the proctologist is going to cost more than the generalist, but people are willing to pay more because they can trust that someone who has a specialized knowledge is able to solve their problem. I'll give you an example. A lot of times when we think that we don't have enough clients, the key is to go cheaper in our prices. As health educators, they're notorious for lowering our prices and trying to be affordable, thinking that our prices is the issue why we're not getting enough clients. But if you needed brain surgery, would you go to Google and type in cheapest brain surgeon near me? No, not at all. Nobody does that, because what people who have health problems are that want to pay, they're not looking for the cheapest. They're looking for the best. They're looking for someone who knows their stuff, who can be trusted as a trusted advisor. And a lot of times people will come to me and they'll be afraid that, oh, I can't niche down because then I'm going to isolate people, or then I'm going to prevent people who can come to me. In fact, I had a client of ours, Hollis and Shantoya, and they had a detox program, and they had a lot of success with people with type 2 diabetes, with high blood pressure, losing weight, and a variety of different things. They're like, we can help with so many things, and we've got trained, we've got the knowledge, we have the ability. And I was like, even though you have the ability, it's going to be really hard for you to target, to market to all the variety of people. So what I encourage them to do is pick a niche, pick a profitable person you're going to serve. And we narrowed it down to someone who's a professional woman over 40. And I asked them, like, who do you have the most success with? What are all the health problems? Out of the health problems you can help with, who have you gotten consistent results with in the past? And we narrowed it down to being able to help them with lowering their high blood pressure naturally without the use of harmful drugs through their detox, their detox. So in this, they were concerned that it was like, well, if we speak to professional women over 40, then we're going to be limited how we can reach. And what they found couldn't be further than the truth, because then when they got on to our coaching sessions shortly after, they're like, Enoch, you wouldn't imagine. We're starting to see professional women over 40 with high blood pressure issues coming out of the woodwork. We thought we would limit our reach, but now they're coming up in our calls, they're showing up at the events, they're resonating with our videos online and emailing us, and they started to see a flood of people who fit that exact demographic, that target audience, because fuzzy targets don't get hit. We need to have a target audience that we're reaching out to. And get very clear on what is the one person you're going to serve, the one problem you're going to solve, and the one program you're going to do that. This is called the 1 by 1 by 1 method. It's really helpful, especially when you're getting started. Here's another example of what happens when you get clear on what's the problem you're serving. Here's Dr. Marianne Jones. What she does is she has a 10-day cleanse where she helps people to eliminate kidney stones, gallstones, liver stones, and during these 10 days, modeled after the Daniel 10-day test in Daniel chapter 1, she has amazing results with that, but she's specialized in her area. And she's highly sought after by other people because she gets a specific result and people love it and they want to go tell everybody. And they start bringing their family, their doctor, their friends, their colleagues, and they tell people about her work. So she gets consistent referrals because she's learned how to niche down to attract the right people that she's able to serve. How many of you would like to get consistent referrals to your business? By being very specific in your niche and clear in what you do, then this will open the doors for your clients to want to go tell other people about what you do. When they hear the problem, they're not thinking of the generalist, they're thinking of the specialist. So they'll point their people to you. And another myth, so the second myth is, I would say this is the real reason why picking a profitable niche feels hard. Have you ever felt that that you don't want to make a mistake? Maybe that I have to pick the perfect niche or the right niche before starting out. Like you don't want to pick the wrong one. Like there's this fear of making a decision and making the wrong decision. Well, the thing about picking a niche is that you don't have to get it right to start out. It's kind of like a GPS. When you're traveling and you're following a GPS, what happens when you make a wrong turn, so to speak? The GPS will reroute itself, right? It will recalculate. With a new information, you can make new decisions. So at any time, you're able to upgrade your niche. As you develop as a person, you can upgrade, you can modify, you can improve the people, you can add layers and filters to who you're serving and how you're helping them as you get new insights. And probably in this video, maybe you had an idea of who your niche was, but you're going to get new layers that you can add to refine your target audience. But it's easier to make course corrections to a vehicle that's moving than a vehicle that's sitting still. So what you want to do is pick and go. Pick something, because instead of being so afraid of making the wrong decision, recognize that indecision is still a decision, and often it's the worst decision that you can make. So by picking a profitable niche, you can start to communicate with them, at least have conversations with that target audience, and then you'll soon find out, do I like these people? Do I not like them people? Am I able to help them? Do they like me? Does this fit? It's okay. You're not married to your niche. You're more of courting or dating your niche and getting to know and see if you guys are a good fit together. That's part of the process. In fact, I like how Jesus said in Mark 4:28, "For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself, first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn of the ear." So in other words, if you look at the fruit is like the results. And in business, you want to get paid. In business, you want to be able to have this impact. In business, you want to get your health message to the masses. So if that's the fruit, Jesus said there's stages of development. So when it's first the blade, that plant is perfect in its stage, but it's still able to grow and develop. Then the ear, and that's perfect in its stage. Then afterwards, a full corn of the ear, and that's the fruit of that those big paydays or the clients or the reviews and testimonials you get to hear, and we live for those. Those are the things that really light us up and get us excited to who we get to serve. So So what you see from this is that there are stages of perfection. The perfect niche is not so much about picking the perfect niche as it is about making progress. And you like switching a niche doesn't mean you're confused. It doesn't mean you are lost. It just means you're early in the process. And that's actually an extremely important part of the startup entrepreneurship journey. From 0 to 6 figures, you're probably going to have to switch it up and refine and test out a little bit until you see something that resonates, that makes sense, that gets traction. And as you get traction, you don't get bored, get paid. Do what works and add more fuel to the fire. Once you nail it, then you can scale it. But until then, it's okay to tweak and modify and be agile and flexible. And that's really part of the startup journey. You're not lost. You're just early in the process, and you're actually perfect in your stage. So that's niche number 2. Niche number 3, this is going to show you how to remove the stress of choosing the perfect niche. Because sometimes choosing the niche can be stressful and anxious and be like, why? One of the fears that a lot of people have that makes it stressful is that I don't want to be stuck with my same niche forever. And we talked about that a little bit, where you're not marrying it. Your niche is not permanent like a tattoo. See, this was a little tattoo I created with AI, but I wanted to show you a lot of times we think like, oh, I'm going to be pigeonholed for the rest of my life. I don't want to talk about that. That's going to be boring or hard or difficult. It's going to be exhausting to go through all that. Well, the reality is you don't have to. You're not married to it. You can upgrade, you can update, you can improve it. And once you understand that, then that is, your niche isn't permanent. It's really in this season, you're called to serve a group of people. And it's okay for that to upgrade, and you're going to change, you're going to develop. And as you develop, your business will develop too. And that's just part of the journey. Doesn't it relieve some of the pressure of choosing the perfect niche? Type yes in the chat if that's relieving to think about. So what does this expansion look like? I really like in Acts chapter 1 and verse 8 how the scripture talks about how it says in Acts 1:8, Jesus said, "But ye shall receive power. After that the Holy Ghost is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me." So Jesus is talking to his disciples, saying, you're going to be witnesses. You're going to get this message to the masses, and you're going to impact the world. But how are you going to do it? And do they have a gospel that is beneficial to everyone? Yes. But are they starting with everyone? No. Here's the sequence. You're going to be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in Judea and in Samaria and unto the uttermost parts of the world. So I want you to think about your target audience. Dean Graziosi explains your niche, your ideal client is like being your dot. It's a dot in a target. You have a target audience. Your bullseye is your ideal client. It's the perfect person. It's the most profitable person for you. That's who your target audience is. And often, many times that's like you 5 years ago. It's like be the mentor you wish you had 5 years ago. What's the advice that you wish you knew when you were 10 years when you were just getting started. So what's really powerful about this is a lot of times the way of picking a niche is just understanding that you are the most credible person to talk to a younger version of you. You don't have to know all these things that you don't know. You just have to be a few steps ahead of the younger you and be an advisor and the mentor you wish you had. And a lot of people are willing to pay for that kind of guidance. So Jesus was speaking to the Jews. And when you look at Jerusalem, that's the city. That's the city capital of Judea, of that country. So he says, go to Jerusalem, spread your message in this narrow niche, this small target, this dot. And then from there, you could do what I call land and expands. And so what that looks like is, like, even if you look at Facebook doesn't become this big metaverse, multi-platforms conglomerate that it is now. Facebook started as it was like a yearbook, online yearbook for one college. And then that took off like wildfire. That's like Jerusalem, and it expanded. And then it became a college, then it became like a yearbook for the Ivy League colleges like Preston and Harvard and Stanford and these prestigious colleges. And that took off like wildfire. And then it branched out to colleges around the world where and it wasn't even for the general public. It was just for like colleges in general. I remember that when I was a little boy. And then it eventually went public. And as it went public, it started to grow. And now they started to acquire like WhatsApp and Instagram and the metaverse. And they're going into all these different avenues. But a lot of times what we do is we compare ourselves to people in our industry who might have so many different pieces of their health business. Maybe they're speaking and traveling, they've got courses, they've got seminars, they've got events, they've got these coaching programs. Maybe they have like Train the Trainers and got all these other coaches, and they've got these podcast interviews with millions of views, and we see where they are today, but you can't compare your beginning to someone else's end or their middle. So recognize that there are stages, and these people who you aspire, these mentors that we respect and we love and we appreciate, they didn't start that way. They started in a niche. They started serving a particular problem, and they expanded. They developed these different arms and branches in their business. But one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of health educators make is they try to branch out far too fast. Now you can see that you can get layers, like in this target example. There's different. Each layer of the target is a similar vertical. Like it's a similar target audience. It's not the exact same as a dot, but it's expanded. They're similar to each other, and you can land in one category, one narrow dot. So you're like a category of one. You are the best in that micro niche, that category. And then you're able to expand to similar verticals. And once you're the category king or the category queen of one, then it opens the doors for you to reach other segments of your audience. But if you try to branch out too quickly, you'll end up, this is gonna cut your profitability, and it's going to cut your influence. It's going to cut your impact, your income tremendously. And so what we see from this is that you're not stuck with the same niche for the rest of your life. You can expand, but give yourself permission to spend a couple years or a little bit of time to focus on really getting good roots. Before you develop the fruit system, you have to develop the root system. If we want that fruit, we have to do that dark work, the deep work, the downward work in the dark where nobody sees that. And let's work with those few people that are a good fit for you. And then as you get more clients and case studies and testimonials and notoriety in that micro niche, it's so much easier to expand to similar categories, and you expand your influence. So that's myth number 3. Niche myth number 4 is this is a key to standing out in a crowded market. And it's really powerful because one of the lies that a lot of people believe is that there's too much competition in my niche. And they're afraid that, well, I can't do this because there's a lot of people doing something similar. Or maybe in our market or our industry, even if you look at the weight loss industry, then there's a lot of competition, but people are still able to succeed today. And here's how. There's a concept that's called this blue ocean, red ocean strategy. And a red ocean is when there's lots of sharks in the water, it's very bloody waters, and these sharks are businesses, they're eating up all the fish, and the fish are like customers. And as you're going fishing for men, you've got to compete with all of these sharks. And so red ocean is a highly competitive, established market where there's a lot of business transactions taking place and competition. And so people see that and they're like, ooh, I don't want to do that. So there's a popular concept to go find a blue ocean where it's crystal clear, pristine. There's not a lot of sharks, not a lot of competition represented by the bloodbath of the sharks. So you want to have a blue ocean that someone doesn't know about, that it's unique, it's different, it's something that people haven't heard of, and so that allows you to render the competition irrelevant. Now, I think there's some truth to that, but there's also a danger because you can get too blue. If you're looking for something that doesn't exist, period, that nobody's doing or nobody's buying, that's a red flag. You don't want to be so blue that nobody knows what you're talking about. And the amount of education required to introduce a market to a completely different idea that they don't already have a knowledge about, that's going to be very challenging. So instead, when I'm coaching health educators, what I encourage them to do is when you find a red ocean, when you find a crowded market, that's a good sign for you. That means that there's hundreds of businesses, maybe thousands of businesses that are making profitable, substantial income to be able to support the people solving the problem you're capable of solving. So the way for you to stand out is not finding a different market or a different ocean. It's by creating a blue offer in a red ocean. What makes you unique, let it be the packaging, let it be your program, let it be your offer that you have, the problem that you're able to solve. Go look at the crowded market where there's a lot of money flowing, a big market. That's a great sign. That means there's transactions that are taking place and you can get a cut of that once you look at where are the holes in the market? Where are people not being served? What is not being provided? How can you bring some unique twist or unique angle to what's already existing? And that allows you to have a unique blue offer in a red ocean. And that's where you're going to find a very profitable business and pick a profitable niche. So you want to, and that makes your offer irresistible to your ideal client. How many of you would like to have an irresistible offer to your ideal clients? Hit yes and type yes in the chat below. So another thing another thing to think about is myth number 5. Myth number 5 is why you're not limited to your past when choosing a niche. A lot of times people think that my niche has to align with my personal identity or my past identity. And what I mean by that is people think that, well, I can't start helping people lose weight. I haven't fully lost weight yet. Or I can't help people to overcome diabetes because I've never had diabetes. Or I can't help, that you need the results before you can teach someone how to solve those problems. But I'll show you why this is a lie. Or sometimes people think I need to be wealthy and successful before I help anyone else or share the knowledge that I'm learning. Now my question is, does a doctor need to have diabetes in order to help a patient with diabetes to recover from that? No, they don't. A doctor has to have a knowledge of physiology and the laws that govern our being, and by being able to give advice on lifestyle, nutrition, and its disease, its cause, prevention, cure, then a physician can help to recover someone without having to be on their deathbed in order to help someone to recover from their life. And another example, I used to work at a mechanic shop. As a mechanic, do I have to have a broke down van in order to help someone to fix their broke down van? No, I don't. I just need to have the skill to be able to receive that bill and to be able to help them to solve that problem. I'll give you another example. Let's say let's say I wanted to start a business where I want to teach baby boomers over the age of 60 how to become elite athletes. But here's the thing. I'm not a baby boomer and I'm not an elite athlete. When I say elite athlete, I mean like a triathlon, an ultramarathon runner, a like extreme mountain climber, and people are doing these extreme sports, elite athletes. So I'm neither of these things. Now, but I want to teach baby boomers how to do that. So how many of you, if you were a baby boomer, would buy from me if you knew I wasn't a baby boomer or an elite athlete? Type yes or no in the chat. Which would you say? Would you buy from me? No? Exactly. However, what if I told you that I had interviewed over 100 of the world's top elite athletes who each started their athletic journey after the age of 60? I'm talking about examples like Yuichiro Miura, who scaled the top of Mount Everest at the age 80 after having 2 heart surgeries, and he's went to the tallest mountain on planet Earth. I believe he did it 3 times. And each of them has been in his oldest age. He's the oldest living man who's gotten to the top of the mountain. And I interviewed him. And I interviewed people like Bill Andrews, who ran the Ultra High Marathon, which he's the oldest person to complete the 60-hour, 130-miler marathon at the altitude of 18,000 feet. And what he did is he ran nonstop for 50 hours and 51 minutes straight. No breaks, just running. I mean, no sleep, just straight running. But he did this at age 60. He was the oldest person who did this. So what if I told you I interviewed each of these people? I found baby boomers who each started their athletic journey when they were in their 60s. And then I found these elite athletes, and well, his arms are too thin. Well, elite athletes. There we go. Boom, look at those guns. So, and then what I did is I interviewed them. I asked them, what were the greatest challenges you faced in starting your athletic journey after 60, and how did you overcome them? What were the habits that you developed that led you to be successful? What were the mindset shifts, the limiting beliefs that you had, and how did you overcome them? What advice would you give to anyone else, any baby boomers who wants to be able to get fit in their 60s? What would you share with them? And I asked them a series of interviews about their success, and I recognized each of them had a pattern. And I recognized that there's like 6 master habits. I created a master framework that all 100 of these interviews had in common. And I put them together in these 6 habits. And I recorded a breakdown, a summary of what I learned from all of these 100 interviews of these elite athletes. And I even handpicked some of the best interviews that were the most insightful and mind-blowing. And I packaged them into a program that you're able to now invest in and learn. So now how many of you would buy from me if you knew that I interviewed 100 baby boomer elite athletes? Type yes in the chat if your answer has changed. So this is what we see is there's value in being a reporter. So you could pick a niche that does not align with your personal past or your current identity. That's okay. Your past doesn't determine your future. If you desire to lose weight, if you desire to overcome your diabetes, there's a man, Joe Cross, who published the book Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead that later became a best-selling documentary. He wasn't a health expert. He was a lawyer, and he got diagnosed and realized with all these chronic diseases, and he realized that he was fat, sick, and nearly dead, and he wanted to find a solution. So he documented his journey of seeing what he can do to resolve his health issues, and he decided to drink plants for juicing for 60 days. And he documented his journey. He interviewed other experts, and he did exactly what I'm describing here. And he helped other people to go, while he was losing weight, he found a trucker who needed help and was willing to follow the system. He was able to lose weight and found a lady who was interested. And then he built this multi-million-dollar business on the back end of this experiment, this experience. So you don't have to wait till you have results before you start documenting your journey. But just don't frame yourself as like, this is how to. Frame your content as this is how I. Instead of saying this is what you should do, say this is what I did. And it's going to have a totally different frame of reference as you're teaching. And when you do this, you can pick a niche that you're not personally in. And that example that I gave about elite athletes, that's not hypothetical. Tony Robbins actually did that when he was younger, and he interviewed people, 100 people that were elite athletes who started in their 60s because he was personally interested in a subject. He just had an interest on the subject because he wasn't a baby boomer. He wasn't at that age yet, but he wanted to improve his health. He saw people who were like in their 70s, 80s, and they're climbing mountains. He's like, I want to be like that when I'm older. So what did he do? He found people who had the results that he wanted. He interviewed them, recorded it. He packaged it into an audio program that he sold and made millions of dollars selling a program like that. But he wasn't the representation of those people. So, I mean, the possibilities are endless. You could leverage other people's knowledge, other people's credentials, other people's experience as a reporter, and people will pay you for your health advice in that kind of niche, in that angle of your niche. So another myth that people believe, myth number 6, is that I'm going to share with you why following your passion will keep you broke. Have you ever heard someone say that when choosing a niche, you got to follow your passion and the money will follow, right? That's pretty popular. People say that. But here's the problem with following your passion and why this is bad advice. Sometimes it's very similar to the advice that you'll hear from gurus. They'll say, just follow your heart. Do what makes your heart happy, right? Anyone who tells you to follow your heart, any mentor who's teacher or speaker or coach or business owner, regardless of the results, if they're telling you to follow your heart, run away, run the opposite direction as fast as you can, because the Bible says in Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? If you do not want to follow your heart, what I would suggest is that you follow the money. Count the cost. And what I mean by that is Jesus puts it this way. In Luke 14:28, Jesus says, for which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? So in other words, you want to do market research. If you're going to be building a tower, if you've got a goal, if you've got an intention, you've got a dream, a desire, like building a business, sharing your health knowledge with the world, then you got to count the cost. Actually look at how much are people spending right now? Where is the money? What are your potential niche or target audience currently paying to solve these problems? Are they investing in these solutions? Don't follow your heart. Don't follow your passion. Follow the money. And the money will show you what is an actual profitable niche, rather than just thinking, oh, I've got this, I know that God is calling me to go serve these people, and I think that this is going to be good. I mean, it sounds really good on the surface, but your heart is not the best advisor when it comes to building a business, particularly if you want it to be profitable and have the resources to sustain. Because I like the way that Brendon Burchard mentioned. He said, or I like to explain how there's two sides of the coin. On one side of the coin, you have your message, you have your mission, your ministry, you've got the service, the contribution that you're passionate about getting to the world, and that matters. It's so important. But on the other side of the coin, as equally as important, is you have the money, you have the marketing, you have the monetization. And what Brendon Burchard said is that if you don't make the money, you can't sustain your message. So any organization that doesn't make more money than they spend will close their doors and be no longer able to serve. So it's very important not just to do what you're passionate about, but to what a lot of people do. Do something that is profitable. You could still pursue your passion profitably, but what I'm saying is just because you're passionate about it doesn't mean people are passionate about paying you for it. You can have both. In fact, this is a framework that I walk people through that helps them to find their ideal client. In fact, Luke 14:23, Jesus tells another parable, and he says who to go to first. And the Lord said unto the servant, go out to the highways and hedges and compel them to come in, that my house may be filled. So when Jesus gives this parable of the wedding feast, to go and invite them to come out, he said, go to the highways first. The highways are the higher classes. These are the wealthy individuals, the influential people. These are those who are the educators, the leaders of industries, the leaders of their fields. You share the message with them first and let the resources of the wealthy to be able to fund the work that you do to the poor, the halt, the lame, the blind, and the next category of people. So Jesus himself understood this process where if you are going to get a message out, go solve problems for rich people first, and then let the resources to be able to contribute to the causes you care about. This concept, we see that your ideal client looks like this. Your ideal client is at the intersect of, number one, you want to make sure that your ideal client has a purchasing passion. So what keeps many health educators broke is that they create content, create courses, create books, create programs that they're passionate about. Many struggling health educators create pick problems that they're passionate about solving. But you don't want to do that. You want to pick a problem that your ideal client is passionate about paying you for. They got to have the willingness to buy. And then the second is the actual purchasing power. Not only do they have a purchasing passion, they have to have the purchasing power. In other words, the ability to pay. Because sometimes, like your target audience, maybe you want to help, it's really hard to build a business selling to homeless people. And while you can help homeless people, it's going to be so much better to go solve problems for wealthy people and use those resources to support the poor through your free videos that you have, or you have inexpensive books that you're able to share with people. They don't need to join your highest tiered programs to be able to serve people, but solve problems for wealthy people. And they have the purchasing power. What I mean is they have large income that if you're going to charge a price like $3,000 or $5,000 or $10,000, it's not a burden for them to invest in. And so type of people that might look like is entrepreneurs, professionals, and instead of serving stay-at-home moms who may likely have less resources to income, you can find professional moms or professional women, because they're likely to have a career that they could be making $100,000 a year. And when you ask them to pay a $3,000 program to help them reach their health goals, to get their hormones right, or to help them to lose weight, or help them to get fit, feel fabulous, and then it's not a big challenge for them to purchase that. So you want to be very clear on who you're serving. Do they have the purchasing power to buy your program? And then third is, are they easy to find? Are they easy to find? Because if you have such a niche that's so obscure, what I mean, so obscure that you can't find them, it's not easy to, then it's going to be very difficult to build a profitable business. And part of being easy to find, there's a large enough market for them. You want a big market with a big problem and people with big pockets. It's not one of them. If one of them is missing, you don't have your ideal client. That is not a profitable niche. Do not go there. But in that market, just to let you know, the market you're in doesn't mean that's a niche you're in. You can solve a problem within a bigger market. But you want to find people who are easy to find. In other words, do they congregate? Are there already influencers that have built an audience of your ideal clients? Are there conferences around this niche or around this results? Are there events online? Are there summits? Are there podcasts that you could be interviewed on? Is there an option on Facebook targeting ads? Is there a large enough audience that you can actually target them and find those people? That could be an indicator if how easy they are to find. You don't want people that are so obscure that they don't congregate together and that you can't find them. So these three elements, when they were together, this is how you're able to find your ideal client and pick a profitable niche. Who here wants to be able to pick a profitable niche? One that you can be passionate about and they could be passionate about paying you for. Type yes in the chat below. So the last myth we're looking at is people mistakenly believe that they need a big audience. And I'm going to share with you why having a small audience is actually your greatest advantage. The lie is that I need to start with a big audience in order to succeed in my niche. People, like I was hosting my challenge this week, and someone came to me and we were talking about how you can create content that attracts your ideal clients to you. And they're like, well, I don't have a social media following. I don't have a social media presence. Nobody knows who I am. And I shared with them, it's like everybody starts with one. Everyone starts with one subscriber, the first follower. And even these big names, these people that we look up to today, they all started with one subscriber. And many times that first subscriber is our mom, and the first 100 videos is just her hitting refresh 100 times, right? But the truth is, contrary to popular belief, you don't need a big audience to make big money online. In fact, many influencers online with big audiences are broke. See, the old way of building a business online is that you first have to build an audience. And then once you build an audience, then you create a product to sell to them. And this is outdated information. That's not how these things work anymore. You no longer need to have an audience before you build a business. Now you can actually leverage other people's audiences. And here's a fact. Just because someone has 100,000 followers doesn't mean that they're making $100,000. Just because they have 1 million followers doesn't mean they're making $1 million. The new way to build to monetize your health knowledge online is first you build a business. Build a business that's very clear on who you're serving, what problem you're solving, what's the program that you're using to solve their problem. And then when you have a business, create content around that topic. And when you have an offer, what we often do is we work with health educators to craft their signature speech, and then we get their calendar booked to leverage other people's audiences. Because the reality is, there are hundreds of thousands of people who are gathered together on these platforms, on YouTubes, on podcasts, at conferences. And they are your ideal clients, perfect dream customers who are ready to buy what you have that you desire to sell. So you can, why start your own audience from scratch and rely on that wholly? Wait 6 months to a year in order to finally make that profitable when you could just leverage someone else who already spent decades building their audience. They've already put hundreds of thousands of dollars into their audience, and they already have the eyes and the ears and the attention of your ideal clients, and they're looking for speakers just like you're looking for people to speak to. So you go to them and say, hey, I have an offer, you have an audience. And if you let me present my offer to your audience, we could split some of the commissions. And many people would be happy to do that because many of these influencers who have big audiences have no idea how to monetize those audiences, because so many creators out there are teaching you how to go viral, how to amass this big following. But the reality is, when you're focused on vanity metrics, what are vanity metrics? That's numbers that don't mean anything. The views, the comments, the shares, these numbers, even subscribers, just because you have 10 million people subscribed to you doesn't mean 10 million people get notified when you actually release a video. So these things don't directly relate to monetization. In fact, I've been able to generate in our family business over $500,000, over $500,000 with no email list, a small social media following, and hardly anyone knew who I was. And when you follow these principles I'm talking about, you don't need big audience to make big money online. By having a narrow niche, by choosing to serve a specific group of people, you're able to really become the go-to best source of ability for them. Like, you are the category king of that micro niche, and it allows you to land and expand as you go. I really like my favorite verse in all the Bible, what Jesus says in Luke 16:10. He says, he that is faithful in that which is least will be faithful also much. He that is unjust in that which is least is unjust also in much. So what I like to do is just be extremely faithful. Be very grateful for the small people. If you got 100 people watching your videos, then that, like, imagine if you had 100 people in an audience, in a building, in the same room, and you were speaking to them. Would you be happy sharing with 100 people? Would you be happy sharing your message with those people and they were interested? Like, these views are actually, like, stop saying like, oh, I only have 300 people who looked at my stuff. 300 people is amazing. And even like, a lot of times we get discouraged because we're comparing ourselves from like people with millions of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, and it can be discouraging. But you, with your tiny army, your special group of people, you could make such a profound difference in their life. And when you have the right pricing and the right packaging and the right problem for the right person, then you could make big money with a small audience. It doesn't require to have a large following. Now, you can work towards that, but the cool thing about this is when implemented correctly, you're able to get started now, and you don't have to wait a long time before you could start to monetize your health knowledge. When you follow the right plan, the right strategies, the system for being able to make a difference while making an income, then this is really the special, it's a very special thing when your business is able to attract people that you're looking to serve. And so how many of you would like to be able to make big money with a small audience? Type yes in the comments below if that's you. Because I have a special opportunity. Every month I host a high income health expert challenge. And in this challenge, what we do for 5 days, I walk you through exactly how to pick your niche. In the VIP, I'm able to speak with you. We just ended ours. Yesterday was the last day. And people were able to get massive clarity on who they're serving, what problem they're solving, how they're able to communicate to other people. And it's so exciting to be able to see people get clear on their niche. And when I talked about Hollis and Shintoya, who've been able to get their clients coming out of the woodwork, they started with this training. And many people, others who have been able to establish themselves in their industry are clients of ours who we've helped. And it started with the High Income Health Expert Challenge. It's free to attend. The VIP is just $47 currently. And like, that's so low, where its price is probably going to go up soon. But if you're interested in being a part of this amazing community of health educators just like you who want to impact the world, and you'd like to have tailored coaching with me in a group setting where you can ask me anything about your business for 5 days, then comment the word challenge below or go to the website on the screen, and I'd be happy to see you in our next upcoming High Income Health Expert Challenge. I look forward to seeing you, and remember, friends, God doesn't call a qualified, He qualifies a called. Have a great day, and God bless.